Good morning. So, I'm from the Functional Nanomaterials Lab. We are on the 7th floor, so we are somewhere here. We work on nanomaterials, so that's the key issue. We make nanomaterials, inorganic or organic. So we try to make these nanomaterials in a way that we can use it for different applications. Our idea is very simple. We make nanomaterials, we design novel nanomaterials. These are probably a combination or individual nanomaterials that we make and try to innovate applications that involve light. So for example, we can use carbon nanotubes, nanomaterial, and we can use for drug delivery, nanomaterials, bioimaging, or something like that, or even molecular detection. So these are the applications we look for to use with these nanomaterials. For example, you know of the problem of food contamination, okay? So some contaminant in food, that's not good, and we have to detect those contaminants. So for example, here we use surface enhanced Raman spectroscopy. Different kinds of substrates. For example, these pink color that you see, these are actually gold nanoparticles. These are gold nanoparticles on which we can do the Raman spectroscopy to get the signal out more stronger. So, and this writing, you can see this pink color, so these are also gold, that is also gold. So this is a tattoo paper, okay? It's a tattoo paper that we can deliver the gold onto the fruit surface and then detect what kind of chemicals are there on the fruit surface. So this is an example of how you can detect that if the fruit is safe for you to eat or not by using Raman spectroscopy. And of course you can see that our signals, when we have that gold on the orange, is much enhanced. So I can detect those chemicals in a lower concentration. Similarly, recently there has been a problem of food contamination of fipronil in eggs. So normally, you know, this chemical was used for as a chicken feed. As a chicken feed, you see, they use the as a chicken feed, and they will be going into the eggs. So we have detected the fipronil in egg using a special gold nanorod substrate. So you can see that if I don't use that substrate, my signals are quite small, and I can only detect a very high concentration. But if I use a special substrate, then my signals are quite strong, and I can detect very low concentrations of this chemical in egg. So this is one example. The next work that we do in our lab is like, we make different kind of nanomaterials. So this can be used for alternative therapy. For example, the hypothermia. The idea is very simple. We have a cell, okay, maybe a cancer cell. We will put in nanoparticles inside, and then we will try to illuminate the cell with some kind of field. The field can be light, the field can be ultrasound, the field can be something else, a magnetic field or something. And this energy will be absorbed by the nanomaterials inside the cell, and the temperature of the cell goes up. If I can make the temperature go more than 7 degrees, let's say, there is a possibility I can kill that cancer. So this is called hyperthermia. Hyper means high and thermia means temperature. So I am killing the cells by using a high temperature. So of course I need to make materials, nanomaterials, so we make a lot of nanomaterials like gold nanorods, gold nanoparticles, graphene oxide, up conversion nanoparticles. Now this one is a very special one that it emits green light. It behaves just like a quantum dot. The only difference is that in this case you need a 980 nanometer excitation, which is like in the IR. And that nanomaterial can also be used for various purposes. For example, Now we are treating melanoma by using gold nanorod and doxorubicin. So I am trying to combine photothermal therapy along with chemotherapy, and we see how good we can do that. So this is a schematic showing that the gold nanorods are inside the cell, and we also put the graphene oxide with the doxorubicin. What is the result? Okay, if I do nothing, the tumor, you can see the tumor over here, okay? They keep increasing. If I put the gold nanorod and the doxorubicin at the same time, then the result is this one. So actually I could control the growth of the tumor. However, if I do some trick with the treatment, then actually I can bring down the volume of the tumor. So you can see that is the last one. So I can really control the tumor to a large extent. So this is, we are treating a kind of cancer using a combination of photothermal therapy and chemotherapy both. So we are using the nanomaterial for a therapy purpose. Next, this is another material that we use a lot, which is called up conversion nanoparticles. This is like a quantum dot, so it emits light. You shine 980 nanometer light, you shine the 980 nanometer, and these will emit either blue or green or yellow or red, depending on the composition of that nanoparticle. Now this can be used for tissue imaging, deep tissue imaging, all kinds of stuff. Because the good thing is, I am exciting by IR, which is not absorbed by our biological system, mostly the hemoglobin and the blood in our body. What we can do now, we have to engineer. So there is a lot of chemistry involved, chemical engineering involved, and a lot of physics involved. So we make a nanoparticle, and in the nanoparticle, we have the upconversion nanoparticle inside. Then we put a protein cage on the outside. This is a protein cage that we will be using for the targeted drug delivery. So there is a particular protein, and then inside that protein, we will load some radioisotope. Why we are doing that? We want to image by SPECT. So I load a radioisotope. I can put a photosensitizer that will be used for a therapy. We call it a photodynamic therapy. And we have some component in the nanoparticle itself that can be used for fluorescence imaging or CT or MRI. Okay? So this is a very special, very new engineered nanoparticle which has many functions. For example, I can do pentamodal imaging. Pentamodal means I can do 5 kinds of imaging using this nanoparticle. And I can also treat. I will only show you the imaging result, okay? I will not show you the treatment. So you can see this is no injection of the nanoparticle. And this is with the injection of the nanoparticle. This is MRI, this is SPECT-CT, this is thermal imaging, okay? Just by temperature. Just like right now, you see, if you go to the airport, they will measure your temperature using an IR camera. It's just same thing. So using, I measure the temperature around the tumor using a thermal camera, and this is CT. So you can see that when I don't use the nanoparticle, the contrast is not high. But when I use the nanoparticle, the contrast is so much around the tumor. So red means high, okay? And blue means low. So here you see everything is blue. This one is SPECT. So this is happening because I load the nanoparticle with some radioisotope. So that's why we can use SPECT. So you can see I can image the tumor. Here also the temperature, because I shine light, the nanoparticles become hot. And the temperature is only around the tumor. So I can image that. And this is CT. So you can see the contrast. There is some white stuff here, right? That is where the nanoparticles are. So using one nanoparticle, I can do various kinds of imaging. We can also do therapy, okay? We can also treat the tumor, but that result I did not put. Okay, so this is the generation of nanoparticle with some application. We also do some purely physics application, for example, in photodetectors. So we will make devices like this with graphene and the nanoparticles, and we shine light, and then I will see the current increase. When I stop the light, the current comes down, okay? So it's a photodetector. And this kind of devices we can use using graphene, or we can use molybdenum disulfide. So we have different designs to make very, very high responsibility photodetectors. Okay? And the photodetector sensitivity is normally how much photocurrent you get and divided by the dark current. So you know, using these materials, my photocurrent is very, very high. So my sensitivity will also be high. This is one application. So you can see I can do broadband detection. This is my device. It's very, very small, a few microns square. So you can see ultraviolet light, blue light, green light, IR light. We can detect all of this light using just one photodetector. So we call it a broadband photo detector. Okay? And we give importance for our master student to get publications. Until now, all the master students in this group have got some or the other publication, at least one. Okay, and with that, thank you.
好，谢谢薛特老师的讲解。请问有没有同学要问老师问题的？要仅限一问，对，练习一下口试这样。好 ，OK， 好，再次谢谢一下武勋老师。Okay.